that is to march off. They have gotten permission from His Excellency the President. Shortly, accompanied by music from the police band, they will march off the grounds. Distinguished guests, you may take your seats. received by the Speaker and he signs in the visitor's book. So His Excellency is signing the visitor's book, and thereafter the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and the Clerk of Parliament will come and form the Speaker's procession for the start of this first sitting of the first meeting of the third session of the 11th Parliament of Uganda.
Honorable members, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda and the Right Honorable Speaker.
The anthems.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with abundant favor these your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trust in this land. Let your blessings set upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as promote your own glory and to advance the good of those interests you have committed to their charge. Amen. Amen.
Proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament.
Whereas Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Uganda mandates His Excellency the President at the beginning of the session of Parliament to deliver to Parliament an address on the state of nation. Aware that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda has, in accordance with Article 101, Sub-Article 1, indicated to the Speaker of Parliament his intention to address Parliament on State of Nation address on Wednesday, 7th June 2023. Now, therefore, in accordance with Rule 17(1) of the Rules of Procedure, I hereby proclaim that Parliament shall sit at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds on Wednesday, 7th June 2023 at 14 hours to receive the address of His Excellency the President of Uganda and the State of Nation, and Kololo Ceremonial Grounds to be the precincts of Parliament for the above mentioned purpose, given under my hands and at Parliament House, Kampala, on 7th day June 2023 by the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Annette Among.
Item number 4, communication from the Chair.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the First Lady and the Honorable Minister of Sports, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, Her Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the Principal Judge, Justice Flavian, representing the Chief Justice, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Thomas Taeva, His Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Vice Chairperson of NRM Party, the visiting speakers, and the heads of the national legislatures of our East African countries, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Uganda and leader of government business, the leader of opposition in Parliament, cabinet ministers, ministers of state, the Justice of Court of Judicature, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors, the High Commissioners, and the heads of diplomatic mission, my colleagues, the members of Parliament, and members of Parliament of other parliaments like DRC, the delegation from the Buganda Kingdom, led by OHT Professor Twaha, the traditional and cultural leaders, the senior public servants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I can say anything, I want to introduce the traditional leaders that are around. The traditional leaders, we have the Emormor of Teso, that is His Royal Highness Sande Paul Emolot. Can you just wave to the President? We have the Prime Minister of Busoga Kingdom, and that is Dr. Mubawala. You're most welcome. We also have the first Deputy Katikiro of Buganda Kingdom, Alhaji Twaha Kawase Kigongo. We have His Royal Highness Obara Robert King of Bwigwe. Your Excellency, allow me to introduce my colleagues, the visiting speakers. We have the Right Honorable Joseph Intakuri Mana, that is the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly. You're most welcome. We have Honorable Emmanuel Bugingo. He's a Chairman of Committee of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation in the Parliament of Rwanda. Welcome, thank you so much for coming. We also have Right Honorable Saguma. He is the second Vice President of the Senate of Democratic Republic of Congo. Most welcome. We also have a delegation of members of Parliament from Congo. Can you just stand up and wave? We have a big delegation from there. You're most welcome. Honorable members, I want to welcome you to this special sitting of Parliament, which marks the official opening of the third session of 11th Parliament. We are profoundly honored and immensely privileged to host His Excellency the President at today's sitting, during which we will receive the address on a state of nation, and this is in furtherance to Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Republic of Uganda, 1995. Your Excellency and Mama Janet, you're most welcome to Parliament of Uganda. Honorable members and distinguished guests, we are happy to report that Parliament has continued to make significant milestones in promoting the peace, order, development, and good governance in the country as it is envisaged in Article 79, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Republic of Uganda, through its performance in the mandate that is given to the legislature of oversight, legislation, representation, and appropriation. Your Excellency and honorable members, during the second session, we regrettably lost two members of Parliament of 11th Parliament. We lost Honorable Patrick Okabe, a former member of Parliament of Serere County. We lost Honorable Charles Okello Engola, the former member of Parliament of Oyam, former Minister of State for Labor and Employment Relations. In addition, the cruel hand of death also snatched other citizens, and these are notably the former member of Parliament of Rubaga South in the 10th Parliament, that is Honorable Kato Lubwama Paul. The former member of Parliament of Padere County in the 7th Parliament and former Minister of State or Public Service, Honorable Patrick Aloysius Okumuringa. Our gallant soldiers of the UPDF serving in the peace support operation in Somalia. The victims of landslides in the part of eastern and western Uganda. The victims of the road carnage and various accidents that are happening in the country. We convey our heartfelt sympathies and condolence to you, Mr. President, and to the people of Uganda as large. And the condolence is from Parliament of Uganda, and for the loss of these gallant sons and the daughters of Uganda. May we kindly rise up for and observe a moment of silence in their honor.
May their souls rest in eternal peace.
Your Excellency, I take this opportunity to convey our most sincere thanks to you from Parliament of Uganda and to government for the invaluable support and cooperation that you've rendered to Parliament, and that has enabled us to execute our mandate without any hindrance. We are sincerely grateful, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, as a people-centered Parliament, we reiterate our commitment to work for the people of Uganda in a coordinated manner with the other arms of government for the good of the people and the generations to come. We will always work for the people outside there whom we represent. Your Excellency and honorable members, the State of Nation Address is an avenue of accountability by the Chief Executive to the nation on the government's plans versus the achievements in the previous financial year. The last State of Nation Address was again on 7th June 2022, and we are having the State of Nation Address today, 7th June 2023. We are giving accountability to Uganda for what we have done in the previous year. Honorable members, the delivery of the address by His Excellency, the President of Uganda, is pursuant to Article 101(1) of the Constitution of Uganda, which marks the beginning of the third session of the 11th Parliament. It's an exposition of the future aspirations of the government for its people in Uganda. I want to thank and congratulate the members of Parliament for finishing the second session. Congratulations. Your Excellency, the last State of Nation Address, you listed 62 items comprising of government's legislative agenda for the second session. On this, 55 of them were bills, while others were reports. I wish to report that only 17 bills out of the planned 55 bills were actually introduced, representing barely 31% of what was presented. The bills that were introduced include the following: the Anti-Terrorism Amendment Bill 2022, the Insolvency Amendment Bill 2022, the Companies Amendment Bill 2022, the Museum and Monuments Bill 2022, the Fiscal Activity and Sports Bill 2022, the Microfinance Deposit-Taking Institution Amendment Bill 2022, the Law Revision Miscellaneous Amendment Bill 2022, the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2023, the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2023, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2023, the Lotteries and Gaming Amendment Bill 2023, the Tax Procedure Code Amendment Bill 2023, the Traffic and Road Safety Amendment Bill 2023, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2023, the Appropriation Bill 2023, the Employment Amendment Bill number 2, 2022, the Competitions Bill 2022. In addition, government introduced 8 bills that were not in the government legislative agenda, and these include the Public Health Amendment Bill 2022, the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2022, the Anti-Money Laundering Amendment Bill 2022, the Trustee Incorporation Amendment Bill 2022, the Partnership Amendment Bill 2022, the Uganda Human Organ Donation and Transplant Bill 2022, the Convention on Mutual Administrative Assistance in Tax Matters, that's the Implementation Bill 2023, the Public Service Pension Fund Bill 2023. Your Excellency, the realization of the Parliament legislative mandate is duly complemented by the private members' bills, notably the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023, the National Sports Bill 2023, the National Local Content Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Pension Amendment Bill 2022, the Market Bill 2022, the Employment Amendment Bill 2022. As you are aware, honorable members, Article 94B of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda grants a private member a right to initiate a private member's bill. I want to thank the members who brought the private members' bills. It's your right. This Parliament is committed to ensuring that the members exercise their right to complement government in legislation without any hindrance, and will always work in consultation with the government whenever we have a bill that is coming on the floor. Your Excellency and honorable members, the government's legislative agenda is usually aimed at aiding the attainment of specific policy and development targets of government. I therefore urge you, the leader of government business and the government chief whip, to ensure that the third session witnesses a better achievement of the government's legislative agenda, better than what we had in the second session. Your Excellency, as part of our accountability as a legislature, I wish to report during the session of the 11th Parliament, we have held 105 sittings. We have enacted 38 bills. We have passed 39 resolutions, of which 10 were to grant leave to private members to introduce private members' bills. We've adopted 67 reports, concluded 3 petitions, debated 73 ministerial statements. We have considered 7 statements from members. We've also considered 7 statements from opposition. Your Excellency and the honorable members, the bills passed in the second session exceed the 23 bills that were passed in the first session by 15 bills, meaning you had an improvement in terms of the bills by 15 bills. Congratulations. This is a testimony of the efficiency and effectiveness of you, the 11th Parliament. Distinguished guests and gentlemen, some of the critical pieces of legislation that has been passed in the second session of the 11th Parliament include the Anti-Homosexuality Bill, which is now an act, the Market Act 2023, the Human Organ Donation and Transplant 2023, the Law Revision, that's Miscellaneous Amendment 2022, and the Competition Act 2023. All these laws seek to address the needs of the society in pursuit to better living, development, and prosperity. Your Excellency and honorable members, the Anti-Homosexuality Act has by far elicited the most attention and debate. I wish to reiterate that as representatives of the people, we legislate to the best interest of our people that we represent, as envisaged in Article 1, 79, and 31 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, in protecting the sanctity of family as a bedrock to our God-fearing country. Honorable members, we want to thank you for standing firm in defending our cultures, our values, and the traditions as per the aspirations of our people and prescribed in Objective 19 and 24 of our national objectives and direct principles of policy state. I therefore want to congratulate all those members who supported this bill, now which is an act. Congratulations. In the same vein, with the humility, Your Excellency President, I want to thank the President of the Republic of Uganda, who is none other than General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for his steadfast action in safeguarding the interest of Ugandans and withstanding all the pressures in a bid to preserve our national interest and abiding by our national motto, which says, "For God and my country." Thank you so much, Mr. President. We also want to thank the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, for propagating the Christian values and encouraging the President in executing his mandate as a Chief Executive. Mama, we want to thank you so much because we know you believe in families. As representatives of the people, we sincerely thank the people of Uganda for their prayers and entrusting us to legislate for them, and now encourage the task. We now encourage the duty bearers under the law to execute the mandate that is bestowed upon them in operationalizing the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023. It is now their duty to enforce the law in a fair, steadfast, and firm manner without fear or favor, for the good of Uganda, for the good of our cultures, for the good of our traditions. I once more want to thank the honorable members for their work that they've done in this session, for their consistency, and the general public for the prayers. Colleagues, as we embark on the third session, which is going to start today, that the President is going to open, we hope he opens it. We are duty-bound to effectively serve our electorates that we represent through a regular attendance and participation both in the House and committees. Honorable members, as leaders, as presiding officers, we realized there is a gap that should be fixed on issues of attendance, both at committee level and at the House. You are here to represent the people outside there. You are the voice of the voiceless. So you must be in the House to speak for those people who cannot speak for themselves in that House. We owe it to those electorates. As a people-centered parliament, we will play our role to ensure that we will do all it takes for our people. Honorable members, Rule 1871 of the Rules of Procedure requires the designation of members of sectoral committees at the beginning of every session. Therefore, pursuant to Rule 1510C of the Rules of Procedure, I urge the whips to designate members to the sectoral committees at the next sitting for us to be able to start the work immediately. Distinguished guests and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, our expectation of the third session remains as high as ever, and we urge all the members and the staff of Parliament to exercise diligence, dedication, and work at all times for us to achieve what we want to achieve in the third session. Honorable members, I would like to remind you on Rule 10(4)(a) of our Rules of Procedure that states, the President, while occupying the chair of state, may make a presidential statement which shall be heard in silence and not followed by any comment or question. I am repeating. The President, while occupying the chair of the state, may make a presidential statement or address which shall be heard in silence and not followed by any comment or question. I therefore implore you to abide by the rules so that we all benefit from His Excellency's address. You will have an ample time as members of Parliament to debate on the address of the President. Similarly, the leader of opposition will have an opportunity to give a reply on the State of Nation address. So we'll hear from the President and we'll listen in silence. I say all this for God and my country.
Item number 5, invitation by the Right Honorable Speaker to His Excellency the President to deliver to Parliament an address on the state of the nation in accordance with Article 101(1) of the Constitution.
Your Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, it is your mandate under Article 101, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Uganda, 1995, to deliver to the country a State of the Nation address, the purpose of which this House has convened here today. I now take the singular honor and privilege to invite you, Your Excellency, to address the august House and by extension to address the country. You are most welcome.
The Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Deputy Speaker, His Lordship the Deputy Chief Justice, the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Their Highnesses, the traditional leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In fulfillment of the constitutional kachai kayamba. In fulfillment of the constitutional requirement under Article 101, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I'm here to deliver the State of the Nation Address 2023. Madam Speaker, since my last address, a number of Ugandans have departed from this earth, some of whom are the late General Eri Tumwine, former Minister of Security and Senior Advisor to the President on Security, the late Justice Ruby Opio Aweri, former judge of the Supreme Court of Uganda, the late Dr. Paul Kawanga Semogere, former president of the Democratic Party, the late Honorable Charles Okere Ngola, former state minister for labor, the late Bishop Patrick Okabe, former member of parliament for Serere County, the late Keith Mhakanzi, former permanent secretary, office of the president, the people who have died in the landslides, in the floods, and our soldiers who died in Somalia. I want to thank Right Honorable Speaker. She has already asked you to stand up to show respect to the departed, so I will not repeat it. That one is already done. The performance of the economy. I start with the economy. As a result of the NRM government's deliberate efforts to expand the economic base of the country, a strong foundation has been built for rapid economic growth and socio-economic transformation. In 1986, when the NRM government took administration of the country, the size of our economy was equivalent to US dollars 1.5 billion. That's what it was in 1986. Today, our economy is about US dollars 49.4 billion. In other words, the economy, this is if you use the exchange rate method, in other words, the economy has expanded by more than 30 times since 1986. The economic growth rate for this year is projected at 5.5% in real terms, compared to 4.7% last financial year, 2021-2022. Over the next 5 years, the economy is projected to grow at an average rate of 6.57% per year. But these are the growth rates of the Ministry of Finance. I believe we can grow faster than this. You know, I don't always agree with that Minister of Finance. And I will say so, I will tell you later in this speech. This growth will arise from, one, economic stability as a result of low inflation, two, establishment of more manufacturing plants, factories, Ugandans, when you hear plants, don't think they are talking about crops. Plants in this English of theirs mean factories. I don't know why they call them plants. Amakorero. Continued implementation of the parish development model. 4, support to small and medium-scale enterprises through Emyoga circles, the youth and women funds and other initiatives. 5, increased oil and gas sector activities. And 6, growth in regional trade and the positive impact of the continued recovery of the economies of in the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and the USA, which provide markets for our exports. Therefore, by the end of the financial year 2023-2024, Uganda's GDP is projected to grow up to 207.22 trillion shillings, which is equivalent to $55.2 billion. If you put it in PPP method, purchasing power parity method, this would mean an economy of $156.7 billion. This in turn is projected to grow our GDP per capita to USD dollars 1,186, up from US dollars 1,096 in financial year 2022-2023. This one where we are now. Inflation. The prices of domestic goods and services have come down compared to what they were 1 year ago. To take a few examples, the price of edible oil has reduced from shillings 10,079 per litre in March 2022 to shillings 9,556 per litre in March 2023. Petrol, from a peak of Uganda shillings 6,563 a litre to Uganda shillings 5,138 a litre now. Ordinary cement, from a peak of Uganda shillings 37,315 a bag of 50 kilogram in May 2022 to now 34,874 shillings. Therefore, we have defeated the rapid increase in prices of both consumer and production prices. However, food prices remain high due to climate change effects that caused prolonged drought in many parts of the country. This, however, will be history because of the ongoing government investment in small-scale solar power irrigation to address water shortages for crops. Government resisted price controls and subsidies when prices went up sharply. You know, there are always those pressures for populist, cheap actions which are very dangerous to the stability of the economy. This is because these kinds of measures are not sustainable and they instead introduce distortions in the economy. They bring about the old habits of smuggling, magendo, and can result in shortages of goods in the market. This happens when some rich business people hide consumer goods to cause artificial shortages in order to benefit from higher prices. Some countries give subsidies or control prices of some essential commodities, such as fuel, bread, wheat, etc. We do not believe in subsidizing consumption, such as subsidizing petrol for people to drive to nightclubs. I cannot subsidize fuel so that people drive more to the nightclubs. If they want to go to the nightclubs, they go there at their own cost, the cost of their pockets. However, if prices are distorted by some non-economic factors, such as the sanctions by the West on account of the war between Russia and Ukraine, for inputs into production such as fertilizers, it may be logical to look at subsidies. We are studying this. Our policy as government is to allow demand and supply forces to determine prices and incentivize production. However, on the issue of fertilizers, we shall either get a solution to stop the Western countries interfering with our supply of fertilizers, or we may have to look at subsidizing at least fertilizers. International trade. Export revenue of goods and services was $6 billion for the calendar year ending 2022, of which export of goods merchandise was worth $4.3 billion. For the 12 months to February 2023, we have exported 5.7 million bags, each of 50 kilograms of coffee, worth US dollars 858.7 million. The fish we exported was $166 million. Beans, $132 million. Sugar, $146 million. Maize, $131 million. And industrial products worth US dollars $348.9 million. These were exported mainly to the regional markets. All this has been possible because of the NRM's efforts to grow and diversify the economy. Export of services was worth US dollars 1,776 million dollars, or $1.8 billion, of which tourism was US dollars 1,047 million. And this was equivalent to 59% of all the services export receipts. This shows the huge untapped potential in the tourism sector that the government is working in partnership with the private sector to harness. Regional integration efforts and promoting intra-African trade are taking root. Uganda now exports more to Africa than to the rest of the world, with 86% of our exports going to Africa in the 12 months to February 2023, and 57% to the East African countries. What we need to intensify as Africa is to build regional infrastructure to improve connectivity within the region and reduce trade transaction costs. This way, we shall be able to pull our populations out of poverty much faster, because we shall attract more investments. On foreign direct investment, Uganda's investment climate remained competitive in the region and globally. Because of this, investors willing to bring their money and invest here have increased. This is partly due to the stable and sound economic policies and the prevailing peace and security in the country. Foreign direct investment, FDI, inflows to Uganda continued to recover and reached US$ 949 million during the first 6 months of this financial year, 2022-2023. This is in part due to increased financing to the oil and gas, as well as the mineral development sectors. Increase in household incomes. Although the country has been faced with economic shocks, household businesses have responded positively to government investments in especially infrastructure and the various wealth creation initiatives. As a result, 60% of households have increased their incomes in the year ending December 2022 compared to 43% whose incomes increased in the same period a year ago. This means that the government's effort to create wealth at household level is taking root. This will be further enhanced by the parish development model and the Emyoga government initiatives. As prices stabilized toward the end of 2022 and incomes increased, access and affordability of essential goods and food products has improved. The prices of fuel, sugar, maize flour, beans, cooking oil and eggs have all reduced since their peak between August and December of 2022. When the NRM took over in 1986, the economy depended on a few cash crops, namely coffee, cotton, tea, and tobacco. Since then, the economy has become bigger and more diversified. Some of the agricultural produce, which were only for consumption at home, such as maize, beans, matoke, bananas, fish, milk, etc., have become commercial, contributing to household incomes. Other crops that have joined the traditional cash crops include sunflower, from which we now make edible oil, palm oil trees, vanilla, avocado, oranges and mangoes, which are raw materials for the agro-processing factories. We now produce enough sugar. In fact, now we have what surplus which we are exporting to our neighbors. Steel products, cement, other building materials such as tiles at Kapek Industrial Park, mineral extraction and beneficiation, etc. We shall soon produce oil and gas, and the infrastructure development to enable this is currently under construction, including the East African crude pipeline, power and water infrastructure, and Kabale International Airport. Uganda has a vibrant economy and workforce that is transforming our economy into a digital one. There are many businesses and financial transactions taking place within the country using the internet, and other online avenues. This is not only improving efficiency, but also creating many jobs for the youth. The fiscal performance. Domestic revenue in financial year 2022-2023 is estimated at Uganda shillings 25.55 trillion. This is about 13.7% of GDP. Next financial year, 2023-2024, we plan to collect Uganda shillings 29.67 trillion as a domestic revenue. Through our strategy to raise revenue, the government is planning to raise at least 18% of GDP in the next 5 years. When we achieve this target, we shall be able to reduce our reliance on borrowing to finance a larger share of our budget. We must avoid this problem of not being able to pay our debts by increasing what we collect from taxes and other sources of domestic revenue, such as royalties from our mineral development. Some countries are paying more than 50% of their collections in taxes to service debts. We should avoid falling into this debt trap. Therefore, in addition to collecting more revenue domestically, we should also not spend what we do not have. To achieve this, government decided to rationalize government departments to reduce duplications and wastage of taxpayers' money. And the Minister of Public Service is finalizing the implementation plan for this decision. Industrialization. Our industrialization drive is bearing fruit, with many factories being set up. We have got 8 government-owned industrial parks, which are currently operational. These include Kampala Industrial Park and Business Park at Namanve, with 125 companies operational, 144 companies under the construction stage, and 106 companies at the planning stage, giving a total of 375 factories or companies. Ruzira, with 11 companies operational. Boyogerere, with 8 companies. Soroti, with 2 companies operational and 5 companies at the construction stage. Tianshan Mbare Park, with 16 companies which are operational, while 4 are under construction stage. Jinja, with 1 company for assembling electric buses operational. Mbarara, for small-scale enterprises, for which 35 workplaces are occupied. And Kasese, where 1 company is operational and 5 are under the construction stage. Both Karamoja and Koboko industrial parks will soon start. In addition, we have 3 industrial parks which are operational under a public-private partnership, PPP arrangement. These include Liaoshen Kapeka, with 17 factories. MMP Buyukwe, with 6 companies operational. And Tiantang Mukono, with 4 companies. The total capital investment within the industrial parks so far is US $2.93 billion, and 98,263 direct jobs have been created, with many more indirect jobs. In total, 226 factories are operating within the industrial parks, while 303 factories are either under construction or at the planning stage. The development of industrial parks is one of the vehicles for socio-economic transformation, with the projected creation of 2.5 million jobs in the next 5 years. The factories in the industrial parks do not include the standalone factories owned and operated by many different investors. These are factories that belong to Mukwano and Mwana Group, Mukwano Group of companies, Mwana Group, and so on. These are a total of 354 factories employing an additional 100,000 people. The total number of factories in Uganda is 4,008, with a total number of employees of 150,000. We are committed, the parish development model, we are committed to creating wealth and jobs by moving households from the non-money economy to the money economy. To achieve this goal, government launched the parish development model to accelerate socio-economic transformation. Using this approach, 39% of households which are currently in the non-money economy, the majority of whom are in subsistence agriculture, will move into the money economy. The parish development model will increase incomes, improve quality of life, and eradicate poverty at household level through modernization of agriculture, industrialization, improved services delivery, and using modern communication technologies. Through the parish development model, agriculture will be transformed from subsistence to commercial. This approach will organize and deliver public and private sector interventions for wealth creation and employment generation, using the parish as the economic unit for planning, budgeting, and service delivery. Therefore, the 10,594 parishes in the country will be the growth and service delivery units in the parish development model. Government has committed the Uganda shillings 1,059 billion this financial year for its rollout countrywide. So far, parishes which established circles have received Uganda shillings 50 million each, benefiting 906 circles and more than 21,000 individual beneficiaries. Government will deepen the implementation of the parish development model beyond the financial inclusion pillar by maintaining disbursement of Uganda shillings 100 million per parish next financial year and in the subsequent years. When I visited some parts of the country, I was told that some of the parish development model money has been given to people who are not eligible. This includes politicians and public servants. I was also informed about the delays in accessing the funds released by the Ministry of Finance to the target beneficiaries. In some cases, a few elite people come together and form circles and take all the funds released for the entire Parish. The State House Anti-Corruption Unit has arrested a number of culprits in the Acholi zone, where I started my up-country inspection trips, and I'm coming to all the other zones. So all the thieves, be alerted. I am coming. I've already been to West Nile and also to Masaka. And wherever I went, I found some candidates for Zira. The PDM program is a successor program to the NADS and Operation Wealth Creation programs. Especially the Operation Wealth program, starting in 2013, succeeded in bringing down the households outside the money economy from 68% to the present figure of 39%. We therefore salute the Operation Wealth Creation. It did something. The Operation Wealth Creation did not only convert 29% of the households from Abakorere Chida Kionka, teach me each keken, to the money economy, but as an example, increased the production of coffee from 2,060,000 kilogram bags to now 9 million bags, and would have increased to 12 million bags if it was not for the change to the new model of PDM, which people are still acclimatizing to. The change was, however, necessary so that the program is beneficiaries owned and we eliminate the grumbling of Begabera Boka. The government officials only serve themselves or favor themselves. PDM is saying, do it yourself. Here is a grant from the government to your parish circle of shillings 100 million per year. Besides, the parish is near your home. Hence, no more excuses. This is the strategy of the PDM. The money is there. Cheap money given to you, it's yours. Government doesn't want to take back that money. When you pay back, it remains in your circle. And the parish is near. It's not like the sub-county. It's not like the county. It's not like the district. So therefore, no more excuses by people who want to remain in poverty. About 3 years ago, I launched a wealth and jobs creation initiative for those who found it difficult to access financing through banks and other lenders for non-agricultural enterprises. This initiative has been successful in mobilizing the youth and women in the informal sector in productive self-employment by increasing their skills, acquiring equipment, and accessing affordable capital. As of the end of December 2022, seed capital amounting to Uganda shillings 558.24 billion had been disbursed, had been paid out, benefiting 6,714 Emyoga circles and covering 1.9 million individual beneficiaries. Whatever mistakes that occur in these low-interest poor people poor people funding efforts are correctable and are detectable. If you liaise with the public in your areas, like I've been doing with the public barazas in my recent trips up country. Agriculture. Agriculture sector as a whole contributed 24.1% of GDP. The sector grew by 4.4% in the financial year 2021-2022 as compared to 4.3% in the financial year 2020-2021. The value of agricultural exports registered a growth of 24% from US dollars 1,678 million in the financial year 2020-2021 to US dollars 2,000 million in the financial year 21-22. This growth was attributed to the increased volumes and quality of coffee, dairy, fish, and tea. Performance of selected enterprises. Coffee. To take some examples, the volume of coffee produced increased by 5% from 8 million 60 kilogram bags in financial year 2020-2021 to 8 million 4.5 million 60 kilogram bags in the year 2021-2022. This is on account of government interventions such as generation and distribution of improved coffee variety seedlings, increased use of water for irrigation, and promotion of use of fertilizers. The volume of exports increased of export of coffee from 6 million bags, 6.1 million bags in the financial year 2021 to 6.3 million bags in the next financial year. That was an increase of 3%. The value realized from coffee exports increased by 58% from $544 million in 2020-2021 to US dollars 862 million in 2021-2022. Dairy, the milk. The production of milk increased by 193%. The production of milk increased by 193%. Not 10% like this one of finance. Finance is 6%, 5%. There's a percentage that Ministry of Finance. Aye Biange, aye BFA. Here, milk grew by 193%. With these economies which are so rich in natural resources, we should not continue talking about this 6-7%. This speech which I am reading is mainly from Ministry of Finance. I try to put in my views here and there, but it is their statement. I am their puppet. But if you want to know my own thinking, here you have it. Unfortunately, this is a sector where I am involved directly. I don't need finance. I don't need anybody. As long as there's peace in Uganda, we grow the economy. So, the milk sector grew by 193%. Subuno 6%. 6% you are coming from underground. And you say, I've only come 6%. When will you get out of the ground? To recover the Kubanga oli eyo wansi eyo. When shall we see you? So the milk grew by 193% from 2.8 billion liters in the financial year 2020 to 5.4 billion liters in financial year 21-22. In the same period, the export value of milk and milk products increased from US dollars 98.8 million in 2021 to US dollars 103 million in 2022. This is attributed to the compliance by the private sector to quality standards and regulations. Beef. The production of beef increased from 228,000 in financial year 2020-2021 to 230,000 in the financial year 21-22. In the year 2022, the amount of beef exported was 247,000, valued at 2.9 trillion shillings, as compared to Uganda shillings 1 trillion fetched in the year 2021. Fish, ibyenyanja. The total fish catches from all the water bodies increased from 621,000, valued at $1.8 billion, this figure here, my people, 1.8, they say dollars, but I don't think it's dollars. It must be shillings. In 2021, to 651,000, valued at something. They will have to correct it. I don't think that's correct. It must be shillings. The availability of raw materials of fish sustained operations of the 12 fish processing factories. The performance has been a result of government focus on gazetting of fish breeding grounds, enforcement of fisheries laws and regulations, provision of quality fingerlings and fish feed, and providing and enabling an enabling environment for the private sector to invest in aquaculture. The value of fish and fish products exported increased by 27.7% from US dollars. This one sounds more correct. From US dollars 148 million in financial year 2021 to US dollars 156 million in financial year 2021-2022. Provision of quality agricultural inputs. Government is currently implementing the parish development model, transform the livelihood of the 39% of the households still in subsistence economy to modern commercial farming. The strategy under PDM is transfer funds to parish-based circles where farmers can borrow and procure inputs such as seed and agrochemicals for agreed and selected enterprises. Government will continue to ensure that farmers across the country access quality seeds, planting and stocking material, disease and pest control, research, extension, and overall policy guidance. Pests, vectors, and disease control. The National Agricultural Research Organization, NARO, is conducting research on an anti-tick vaccine development and has already launched trials. Efficacy evaluation trials have started at Kiborara Prison Farm, Isimba, Maruzi, Nabwin, and Mbarara. Government continues to facilitate research in disease-resistant varieties and building capacity of farming households on the best agricultural practices on integrated pest and vector and disease management and other efforts. Mechanization and farm power. Mechanization is critical to commercialization of agriculture. In the financial year 2021-2022, government procured additional 240 tractors and implements, bringing the total number of tractors procured by government to 655. Government also procured 740 units single-axis, low-powered walking tractors with all accessories to support farmers to open more farmland for cultivation. These machines also support value addition, irrigation, and transportation of produce. Water and environment. The availability of adequate water resources is critical to the sustainability of the well-being of the society. When it comes to water for irrigation, the irrigation area has increased from 19,138 hectares to 22,797 hectares. The overall cumulative storage of water for production stands at 52 million cubic meters. These targets have been achieved on account of the following interventions. Number one, solar-powered irrigation demonstration sites. Government has completed the construction of 121 solar-powered irrigation systems on individual farms, creating water storage capacity of 206 million liters, serving 42,000 livestock. The government strategy is to increase safe water supply coverage for both rural and urban areas. This is for human beings. The current safe water coverage in rural areas is estimated at 70%, while the urban water access is at 72%. Out of 70,512 villages, 49,102 villages have been served with at least one source of safe water. To achieve the planned target to restore wetland cover back to 13%, government is implementing several interventions that include restoration of degraded wetlands, demarcation of wetland boundaries, and strengthening awareness and sensitization campaigns on conservation of wetlands, as well as providing alternative livelihoods for people that have been encroaching on wetlands. I was talking with MPs from Bukedi and from Busoga when we were in Chankwanzi, and they were telling me that, oh, our people have been in the wetlands for a long time. Then I said, okay, they've been growing rice. So I said, how rich are they now? Because they have been destroying the wetlands, growing rice. But how well are they doing? The MP from Bukedi said Bukedi is the second poorest after Karamoja. And then Usoga was following. So the question is, if being in the wetlands is good, why is poverty so serious? I will get time and I come and will really discuss this issue with the people themselves. You are destroying the wetland, the water of the country, and you remain poor. So what do we do? Temura wao banange. Floods. Floods have over the last 3 weeks been experienced in River Katonga and River Ruizi catchment areas, resulting in destruction of infrastructure and property such as roads, bridges, people's houses, disruptions to transportation of even death, as reported around River Ruizi in Mbarara. Some of my people have mixed up my papers here, but I will manage them. They are put 21 before 20. So here, I will read it the way it is. They will sort it out. Here they are saying districts of Buweju, Bushenyi, Ibanda, Isingiro, Kabarore, Kamwenje, Kanu. So they are talking about irrigation. As a result, 2,373 acres have been added to the area under irrigation, enabling 14,961 farmers to produce cabbages, tomatoes, apples, onions, pineapples, watermelons, green pepper, etc. They are still talking about irrigation. The following medium-scale irrigation schemes have been completed. Ngenge, 880 hectares. You, the MPs, you know, these people may say completed when it's not completed. So this is an opportunity for you to help them. They say, Ngenge, you are now very all right. Ngenge, in Sebe, 880 hectares, irrigated. Ruengaju, 116 hectares. Tochi, 500 hectares. Mobukutu, 480 hectares. Dohotu, 1,000 hectares. Olweny, 600 hectares, and so on. Then they talk of communal valley tanks. Government has constructed 44 communal valley tanks in Nabiratuk, Kotido, Amdat, Kabong, Karenga, Soroti, Butebu, etc. This has created a storage capacity of 6.6 billion liters, serving 89,000 livestock. So then, this is where they mixed up. They put 20 after 21. This is not the end of the world. Ekitata muyima. Famaganda tunedagala lyebizibu bino. Awogambira nti kasito obeera n'obulamu. Ensobi zigenda kutereera. So these people put my 21 before 20. But somehow you can combine the. There has been major disruptions to transportation arising from the damage of Katonga Bridge, which was washed away by floods. The floods also led to the eroding of wetland vegetation and gardens in the upstream parts of the catchment. This flooding was caused by a dam breach along the 4-kilometer stretch of the Kalungu-Gomba Road in Bugomara village, Rwabenge sub-county in Karungu district. The water had progressively built up on one side of the road due to blocked culverts, creating a damming effect. This created a massive force beyond the capacity of the road, creating a dam breach which led to a sudden release of a large volume of water that moved downstream the Katonga River. As the flood wave moved downstream, it moved with a lot of papyrus and gardens, causing significant damage to infrastructure. The interventions to address the problem of floods involve protection of water catchments and the general environment so that they perform their function of storing and releasing the water safely, even when there is increased rainfall. Regular maintenance of water bodies and rivers so that they perform their water storage and conveyance function. Demarcation and protection of lake shores, river banks, and wetlands. To limit encroachment by settlements, construction of water storage facilities, agricultural activities, and other development, and strengthening of the early warning systems and the enforcement of the water and environmental laws at all levels. People who damage the environment do so at their own risk. Have we not seen enough examples? Nantabuulirwa yasabana na wabumba. That's what we say in our language here. The one who does not listen to advice insisted on using a clay boat on the lake and drowned in the lake. Somebody created a boat from clay, and people told him that clay cannot make a boat. Don't do it. He couldn't listen. He made a clay boat, he put it in the lake and drowned there. And that's how our people here in Uganda got a proverb that Nantabuurwa yasabana na bwabumba. So the people will tell people, please, in the book of Genesis, at even Katonda, this is now not mine. The other one was mine, but this one now. In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 9, God commanded the water to separate from the dry land. Imagine Katonda. In the book of Genesis, it says, let water and dry land separate. It says, then God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. That's what God said. But a Ugandan comes and says, God was wrong. What is water? I will turn into garden. Uganda tebatia. God said this is water. And you say, no, he made a mistake. We shall get time and talk. All the death from landslides, floods, etc., come out of rebelling against God, rebelling against science, and rebelling against common sense. Water bodies and their miga is the Nyankole word for the edge of the water body, are not for human settlement. They are for water conservation. Priorities. Government approved the agriculture value chain development strategy, which recognizes that intervention and the parish development model will prioritize the following: guiding farmers on enterprise selection, ensuring adequate quantities and qualities of seed, breeding and stocking material, i.e. research and breeding. Number 3, ensuring sustainable high yields through control of pests, vectors, and diseases for crops and animals. Number 4, facilitating precision agriculture, i.e. water harvesting, irrigation infrastructure, and machinery. Number 5, provision of farm water, land opening, provision of farm power, that is land opening, cultivation machinery, and assorted post-harvest and small value addition equipment. Number 6, ensuring that the materials planted survive through ensuring adequate farmer education and extension services. Number 7, ensuring that there is proper post-harvest management to avoid pre- and post-harvest losses. Number 8, supporting primary processing through provision of skills and assorted equipment to address specific value chain needs. Number 9, supporting medium to large-scale, model, or extensive farmers because these create effective demand for the small-scale and intensive farmers. Tourism. Tourism is another area which has got significant potential for the economy. We have the best tourism sites, including our national parks of Chidepo, Maxon Falls, Queen Elizabeth, Lake Mburo, Elgon, Rwenzori, Chibale Forest, Bunyonyi, and many game reserves across the country. Uganda's tourism sites rank highly in international media outlets and global tourism agencies. Despite the global lockdown, we received about 500 tourists in 2021 and revenue of US dollars 530 million. The number of tourists coming here has recovered since the lifting of the COVID-19 lockdowns to 814,000 by December 2022 and earned us US dollars 1 billion in the calendar year 2022. To harness the tourism potential further, government is undertaking the following interventions in the tourism sector: ensuring security of the country and tourism sites. 2, construction of tarmac roads from Kitgum to Kidepo, 116 kilometers, Lake Bunyonyi, Kisoro, Mugahinga, 74 kilometers, Karenga, Kapedo, Kabong, 70 kilometers, Kisoro, Rubuguri, Muko, 65, which are soon starting. These roads. Wildlife conservation, especially of Mugahinga, Lake Mburo, Semuliki, Chibale, Maxon, Chidepo, Katonga, Toro Semuliki, and Queen Elizabeth. 4, preventing the conflict between wildlife and human activities. 5, enhancing digital destination marketing using modern ICT online technologies. And 6, strengthening enforcement and adherence to tourism standards through a strict licensing regime for service providers in the sector. Achievements. Tourism directly employs a total of 1.5 million people in Uganda along the entire tourism value chain and contributes 6.7% of the country's GDP. In the year 2022, Uganda's national parks hosted 367,000 visitors, surpassing the pre-COVID-19 levels of 323,000 visitors recorded in the year 2019. 63% of these were domestic tourists. So you, the Ugandans, you are getting richer. The middle class are now visiting our national parks. I congratulate you. Mukuriko wavu, ate namwe mweyegaleko. Although we had corona, you hear that although we had corona, you see, that's why we need lubrication. Although corona stopped people from coming from outside, but the figure here is showing that arrivals into the national park went up. And the main reason was because of the Ugandans who are going to the national parks, which means the Ugandans now have some, yes. In the year, Uganda's national, in the year 2022, Uganda's national parks hosted 367,000 something, instead of 323,000. Why? And this is in spite of corona. Why? Because many of the 63% were the rich Ugandans who were moving around the country even during the corona time. The international visitor arrivals increased to 815,000 in 2022, up from 473,000 in the year 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. Although there is recovery, the performance is still lower than the 1.5 million tourists recorded in 2019. Full recovery is expected in the year 2025. Leisure and holiday visitors stayed longer, 11 nights in 2022 compared to 7.6 nights in 2019, and spent higher daily at $172 per night compared to $168 per night in 2019. The wildlife populations for most animals have increased. For example, the number of elephants increased from 5,700 in 2011 to 8,000 now, while the buffaloes increased from about 36,000 to over 44,000 during the same period. Mountain gorillas in Buindi, Mugahinga Conservation Area have steadily increased over time from just 200 in the 1990s to about 459 now. Infrastructure development. The total national road network now stands at 21,000 kilometers of roads, of which 6,000, which is 29.6%, is tarmac, is paved. Although construction of bituminous roads started more than 60 years ago, more than half of the paved network has been constructed to bituminous standards within the last 15 years. Government continues to implement 16 projects to upgrade over 892 kilometers of national roads to paved bituminous standards, while at the same time rehabilitating 300 kilometers to restore their service life. Construction of the following roads has been completed, adding 351 kilometers to the paved network. Critical oil roads through the towns of Buhimba, Narweyo, Bulamagi, Igayaza, Kakumiro, 93 kilometers. Masindi, Biso, Hohwa, Nyairongo, Charushesha, Butore, and Kabare Kizaramfumbi roads, 78 kilometers. Rukungiri, Chihi, Ishasha, Kanungu, 97 kilometers. Kapchorwa Swam, 73 kilometers. Kitara Gerenge, 10 kilometers. The rehabilitation works of Mtiana, Mubende, 86 kilometers, 14 kilometers town roads in Mbende, Oruyo, Pakwach, 62 kilometers, Arui Nebi, 33 kilometers, are ongoing. Government is expediting the construction of the standard gauge railway, starting in next financial year, 2023-2024, starting with Malaba to Kampala. I welcome the decision of His Excellency President William Ruto of Kenya agreeing to extend the standard gauge railway from Naivasha to Malaba, because that was a problem. In the meantime, the rehabilitation of the Tororo to Guru meter gauge railway and Kampala meter gauge railway are underway. As regards road transport, priority will be given to maintenance of existing road networks, especially in the urban areas, continued upgrade of selected strategic roads from gravel to bituminous surface, maintenance of national, districts, and community roads by facilitating each district in the country with a minimum of Uganda shillings 1 billion to upgrade and compact the dry weather Maram roads next financial year. Infrastructure priorities. Government has over the years invested heavily in infrastructure, and this has helped to narrow the huge infrastructure gap we had in the 1990s. However, there are still critical gaps that the government will continue to prioritize in order to reduce the cost of doing business, such as lowering the power electricity price. You know, these people use their mysterious language, power tariffs and all that. Lowering the electricity prices. Mukitegere bulungi. Bano bibogera power tariff biki. They just mean electricity prices for manufacturers and other businesses. The critical infrastructure includes the railway and the upgrading of airports, including completion of Kabale International Airport, which is at 91% completion, and Entebbe International Airport, which is at 71% completion. Development of new ports on our lakes, and completing the heavy investment in the energy infrastructure, e.g. Karuma Dam and associated transmission lines. We also need to build new airports near the tourism destinations, such as Kidepo, Bwindi, Kasese, etc. Tourists, the rich people, don't have time to come, land at Entebbe, drive for 700 kilometers to Kidepo. No, they don't have time. We need to build airports for the rich foreigners to land near the national park, see the animals, and he goes away. But those airports, of course, also help with security. Like now with operations, night operations in Karamoja, we fly from very far, from Nakasongora, from all those places. It's better to have an airport within a good airport, which can operate by day and by night in those areas. Government will prioritize infrastructure that supports industrialization, production of oil and gas, and promote tourism. These include industrial parks, electricity power substations, extending and upgrading electricity transmission lines, water for industrial use, and ICT infrastructure. Energy. The total electricity generation capacity is now 1,346 megawatts. This is from 60 megawatts in 1986. This will increase to 1,800 megawatts once Karuma is commissioned this year. This means, therefore, that the construction of the transmission lines to evacuate this power must be completed without further delays. These lines include Karuma, Kawanda, 400 kV, Karuma Oruyo, 400 kV, Karuma Lira, 132 kV, and Kore, Gulu, Nebi, Arua. It didn't put the strength. I think it is 132 kV. The demand for electricity is increasing by 15% per year. Although these figures of finance figures are so low. My figures of the big 1.50%. About 15%. Anyway, we are talking with finance. I think we are eventually agree to wake up. This means the bonds running is This means that in for the electricity capacity by this year, there will not be enough power Given the many manufacturing factories that are being established in Uganda, we shall need to both increase and diversify our energy sources, including nuclear energy, to supplement our other sources such as hydro, solar, and thermal power. Nuclear energy is expected to add another 2,000 megawatts to the national grid by 2036. However, by 1940, we should ensure the generation of 52,000 megawatts from all sources. And because I had a big discussion with these wonderful people. You know, our brothers in South Africa, of the LC, when they came in, white, those people were fighting, were generating 36,000 megawatts of electricity. This was the South Africa was already I think South Africa now is generating 42,000 megawatts, something like that. There is a big power here. It's 42,000 megawatts per line. It's I think my people to 1,800 megawatts. It's out as a big thing. They don't really feel embarrassed. They go to international conferences with PowerPoints that they are showing. Wonderful. I feel embarrassed on them. Please don't show these figures. It's bad. But now, they have committed themselves. But the problem is not money. The problem is vision. If we have got a vision, we should get the money. Even from our own sources. And if you don't see what can people do? So they are now talking of 52,000 megawatts by 2040. I think that's a bit too far, but working already. In the immediate future, government shall prioritize investment in the rural electrification in the remaining sub-counties, electricity connections for upcoming industrial zones and factories, construction of additional power substations, strengthening the capacity of the Uganda Electricity Generation Company, and so on. Above, in this speech, these are my own matters now. Most of the others have been going for finance and those groups. And energy and agriculture. So, as a royal delegate, I have represented them. I have told you exactly what they wrote. But this is not mine. Above, in this speech, I have said that our economy will be of the GDP size of US $55.2 billion by the end of the financial year 2023-2024. This is assuming a rate of growth of 6% per annum. This is all while This is the problem I have with finance. And all those wonderful people, agriculture, what? All these plans, 6% rate of growth, this one, they are all assuming we remain a raw materials producing country, which I don't accept. This is assuming a rate of growth of 6% per annum. This is all while our economy is still largely raw materials based. Coffee is a good example. 99% of our coffee is exported as unprocessed coffee. A raw material for clever people. We who don't see far, we sell our raw material to clever people to earn big money out of our sweat. With unprocessed coffee, we get US dollars 2.5 per kilogram. If the same coffee is processed, a kilogram will give us US dollars 40, increasing in value by a factor of 15. If this logic of value addition is extended across the entire spectrum of our raw materials, our economy will expand by at least a factor of 10. It will expand from US dollars 55 billion to US dollars 550 billion in the short term. Why everybody says this? It is because, apart from the state raw materials that are already in place, all the other factors are there. These are an educated workforce, electricity, the network, the railway, we are about to start building, and the old line we are repairing, pipe to water, telephone lines, the internet, etc. It is not what countries like South Korea that do not even have the same raw material base like we have been. You check this from South Korea. What was the GDP of South Korea in 1961? Go back. Internet. Go back. What was the GDP of South Korea in 1961? What is it now? That's 1961. The GDP of South Korea was $2.42 billion. You can even check what was the GDP of Uganda in 1961. I don't think it was very far behind this one. Today, the GDP of South Korea is 1.81 trillion. It's almost 2 billion. From 2 billion in 1961 to 2 trillion now, in just 60 years. And South Korea is half the size of Uganda in land area. They don't have the resources we have. So really, I am not part of this vision 2040. Please, to wave you. The plan is to remain poor until 2040. That's their plan. That's not I am presiding officer. If you are confusion, you also bring some confusion too. Let us add value for this raw materials. We only have two obstacles to this remaining problem. Delaying and tossing up and down investors delaying and tossing up down investors. One day, our late Prime Minister Museveni, who was sitting in one of those rooms, I was sitting here, Museveni was sitting there. There was a rich man, I forgot his name, from America, a white man, whose company has got wealth bigger than the GDP of the whole of East Africa. So I was trying to convince this man to come here. And Museveni said, you write to me that this man writes to him. I told Museveni in Uganda, you must say so way. This man cannot write to you, Museveni Apollo, cannot write to you. The man has got wealth bigger than the GDP of East Africa. And the man is sitting there, you write now, as if he's applying for a job. If that's the mentality, then why did we set up Uganda Investment Authority? We set up Uganda Investment Authority, Oksaka, Kusakira, to get for us people, bring them. We are the one to take the trouble to bring them. Don't sit there and they beg you as if you are going to do welfare money or what. So this ignorance must end. I don't survive in Uganda or you such a sort of way. You just overestimate yourselves. So this up and down investors must stop. This is the biggest problem I have. You need to skills, you need to breathe. That's number one. And corruption is something corruption. The market money from these investors. Also, who bribes you always desperate. But the real credible investors, we will not waste time with you. You don't even come back. Even me, I'm not as rich as the other American, but I'm also not poor. You don't waste my time with my cows. I just say, okay, if you just go back to my cow. I don't have to waste with people who are not serious. So, the two problems which are blocking, because now we have the educated population, our children are educated, electricity is now there, the roads are there, security is there, the raw materials are there, the production is there, the raw materials, the problem is value addition. What is blocking the transformation from raw materials to final products? Mishandling investors, wasting their time, and corruption. Let us crush these two evils, these two many evils, and the sky is the limit. In China, I shared with our MPs the social metamorphosis that takes place inside undergo modernization. If you can check on all the modernized countries, you will find two phenomena. One, a smaller percentage of people still in agriculture, and more people living in the towns than those living in the rural areas. So when we come at the fields of Africa, we see all these big leaders, this leader, this one, and we had them in the 1960s. We had our leaders here. But many of them were our people, the future. But let us just take the example of agriculture. Here below are the figures. In the USA, the percentage of people in agriculture is 1.3%. 1.3%. United States is the land of 3 million square miles, population 320 million. Only 1.3% are in agriculture. UK 1.5%, France 3.6%, Germany 1.2%, Japan 3.4%, Chile 10%, India 55%, Nigeria 70%, Burundi 80%, Uganda 70%. So having more people in agriculture is a sign of backwardness. If you are looking for characteristics of backwardness, one of the characteristics is having more people in agriculture than in other sectors. And secondly, having more people living in the rural areas than living in the towns. Therefore, the quadrilateral, these are my words, they are not for the other group, the young, because they gave me that power that I'm the one to read the speech, so I read theirs, but also mine. Therefore, the quadrilateral efforts we are currently involved in, the four layers of efforts, are in order to enable Uganda to achieve this metamorphosis. I was saying, one of the MPs asked me a question which helped me to remember. We must have these 3 levels of efforts. Tier 1, involve all adult Ugandans into the money economy with the Chibaro through the PDM, Emioga, etc. All Ugandans must be involved in the money economy. 30% must join in. Study helped us with 29%, but we now need to remove the other 39 or to join the money economy through PDM and Emioga. Tier 2, add value to all the raw materials that do not have to be consumed fresh, so that we create more jobs and get more money for our sweat. Tier 3, build a knowledge-based economy using advanced scientific knowledge such as the technology of automobiles, therapeutics, etc. Chira, we support Chira so that they get moving. Instead of having only the economy of coffee and tea and tobacco and marijuana and I don't know what. Let's have an economy of automobiles. Why do we have to make automobiles as part of the economy? Struggling with the scientists have made the vehicle, but the people who are made support don't support. We are struggling, begging. I know in our clans, we have got M0, but we should not operate transformation. Let's have a part of our economy based on automobiles. So you are losing twice. First of all, you sell your coffee as a bidet. but now add new economies which your children now are able to add. Dr. Guang was able to make a medicine for us for corona. These other people are making economy wealth out of automobiles. Let's have and tier 4, expand and modernize the service sector.